About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's be free with me. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free.
can make me laugh when I wanna cry. In a world of men, we're all an all-time high. Oh, 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 oh. You and I till the end, don't need to pretend again and again. We'll stick together, everything is alright with you by my side. We won't say goodbye, we'll stick together. And it wouldn't be the same without you. We did so many stupid things together. You're the only thing I'm holding on to. Anywhere and anything, we'll stick together. Funny how the story goes, little hope but bigger dreams. They try to bring a sucker down, singing louder than the crowd. Listen the rhythm, I'm feeling brand new. Keep pushing forward, it's gonna save you. Never look down, love, not when we shine so bright. The sun is getting warmer when we soar away among the clouds. The sky is just a border when we're floating up like helium. Sip me up like lemonade, we both know it's bittersweet. This sorrowness will bite your tongue, no one is forever young. No. Listen the rhythm, I'm feeling brand new. Keep pushing forward, it's gonna save you. Never look
how are you guys doing? Hopefully you're doing pretty good, because it has been a challenging morning so far. Just getting all the computer stuff going in the correct spots and making all the right things happen. So do me a favor, let me know that you're here. Go ahead and type in the chat. And what we're going to do is we're going to break down your building your team. So there's a number of people, a number of assets, number of things that need to be in place to make your team work. And we're just going to draw that out. We're going to make it very, very simple, very, very easy for you to understand all of those things. Now, with that being said, today we are in the second day. Whoops. Hold on a second. We are in the second day. Well, that's not what I wanted. We're in the second day, and you'll be able to see a number of different things today that we're going to be going over. So I'm making sure that everyone is ready for that. So this is exciting and good in all of those ways. So again, sorry for the technical challenges. Glad we are able to still get started. And what we're going to do is make sure that you guys understand how the team together works to make your short-term rental business exactly what it needs to be. So let's make that happen. Let's make that happen, shall we? All right. 1, 2. So I wanted you to have, in this particular case, I want you to have something to be able to write on, very similar to what you see me doing right here, right? Because this one is more of a drawn. So if you turn in your workbook to one of the blank pages, you'll be able to just draw directly. Well, if you had an iPad, you can draw directly on it, but that would definitely work as well. So I want to make sure that you have this so that you are able to then duplicate and build the business that you absolutely would like to make happen. So let me see, 1, 2, where are we going here? All right. When you're looking at your short-term rental business, let's go here. 1, 2. 1, 2. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Okay. So when you're looking at your short-term rental business, for the sake of this conversation, we're going to start right there with you. This is going to be you over here at the top. So you are for all intents and purposes, you are going to be the CEO, if you will, right? So it's CEO right there. That makes sense. And then what I want to begin to do is to draw some of these connection lines. One of the first individuals that you're going to need in order to put your team together is quite simply an executive assistant of some kind. EA. That is by far one of the first persons that you're going to put on the team, and because you want to make sure that certain functions like your calendar can get removed from your responsibilities, so that you don't have to double check. You just know that when you wake up every day, your appointments are exactly right there for you. All of the back and forth has been resolved. You just know what you need to do. You don't need to, you just don't have to worry about it, and if you need to move things around, the amount of time that we spend doing that can get in the way and will destroy your productivity. Now, I'm drawing the line up here because this person doesn't necessarily have to be an employee. We're not talking about anything that doesn't even have to be full-time, but I just want to get you this picture of the team. One of the next individuals that you're going to go get is the bookkeeper. Okay. And the same thing applies here. Is you don't necessarily have to put yourself, again, this isn't necessarily someone who's going to be full-time yet, because you, especially at the beginning, you're not doing enough to actually make all of that bookkeeper. Got it. You're not doing enough to make that person's job a full-time situation, but that's definitely something you should have, because ultimately you're building a scalable business, a business that will continue to grow, and it is doing what the business does is it delivers temporary housing at an affordable price in your geographic area, whatever that ends up being. But my point is, do not think of this as, oh, I'm just trying to do a deal, right? Because that is the danger. When you come from a real estate background, we tend to go, oh, I'm just trying to get a deal done. No, because if you focus on this as a one deal at a time or something of that nature, you're going to end up with a challenge inside any capital that you have raised and or inside of your team structure. It's not going to come together well as you continue to scale. This is not something you say to yourself, oh, I'll do that later. Well, you can do it later, but you end up paying the consequence. But so here's my point. You've got this at the beginning. This right here, this structure right here, just someone to help you with your calendar and a bookkeeper. You can get pretty far with this structure in and of itself as you continue. And these are your units. That's what all of these green things over here, if you will. All right, this is your portfolio. Now, I'm going to start talking about and dividing out some of the responsibilities so that you can begin to see exactly how this would all come together. For example, one of the functions that your business will need to do, okay, it will need to be able to maintain what I will call you can have a VP if ultimately you can have what would become a VP of, oh, I used the wrong color. 1 second. 1, 2. And let's go back to the blues right here. There we go. You're going to have a person over here, and that person easily, it could be, you're going to have like a VP of sales, if you will, which is different than a VP of marketing. Now, I know that at the beginning, you're not going to have this exact title and definition. I'm giving you the end game now. I'm giving you the end game now. All right. And you'll grow into these. Now, at the beginning, though, these are all things that you are doing. You are the VP of. That's why I often joke and say that the CEO is Chief Everything Officer. That's actually why. VP of Operations. Okay. So I'm going to stop right there and then begin to break this down some more. Because under the sales, you've got a number of different things to consider. First, you've got your OTAs. Now, when I say the word OTAs, because you are in the process of building your business, I'm starting to use the language, but what I'm talking about these are your Airbnb, Flipkey, Wimdu, HomeAway, etc. I think we've highlighted 65, 70 of them inside the training. There's a significant amount of OTAs out there. You just know of a few. But that's when you have a channel that is sending you traffic in some way, shape, or form. You're also going to have what are known as direct bookings. And this is ultimately the goal anyway. Okay. Because that's kind of what you want. You want that. And then when it comes down to from a sales standpoint, there can be some crossover, or I will say work between your between marketing and sales, because one of the things that'll need to happen is what is known as channel management. So hopefully that makes some sense. When I say channel management, it's one thing to have a relationship, say with an Airbnb or a booking.com. It's another thing to have someone whose responsibility it is to make sure that you become a premier partner, or you do all of the programs. You maximize the opportunity for exposure inside their network, which is not, while it affects sales, it is not directly a sales function. But this is why I say it's kind of a partnership between those two things, where it can feel like it's a merging, if you will. So what you should be thinking about is the departments and how these things tend to get built. Now, the good news is that a lot of the sales part is, especially at the beginning, you're going to leverage all of the technology and it's going to be automated for you. Okay, which is great. Yet at the same time, it could still be a challenge to put it all together. And we're definitely going to be talking about that as well. Now, when I say VP of marketing, yes, channel management is a really big piece. But again, with this 2020, we are living in a world where you must have a way of generating your own leads and demand, etc. So yes, you are going to have some form of content marketing as well. Okay. But again, a lot of this isn't what you need at the beginning. It's where you're growing to, if that makes sense, right? You're not going to get to many of these pieces until you're well into your 40 to 50 beds in operation. All right. You're not going to, but I want you to know that they're there. And then I'm going to highlight the things that I'll continue to highlight the things that you've got to focus on right now. I just don't want any of this to be a surprise. So you've got your sales piece, you've got your marketing piece. The good thing about this, especially at the beginning, for those of you who maybe you're not good yet at sales, is that you don't have to be at the beginning because a lot of the sales channels are automated. Now, with that being said, because of the situation in the world today, you're going to be doing a lot of direct booking and you're going to learn to do that faster than normally what would happen. So because that's what you have to do if you're going to remain competitive and actually make this thing work. Now, we've got, when it comes to operations, there's this business is operationally heavy. What do I mean by that? I mean, you've got blue. I'm supposed to be using blue right here. Blue, thank you. So you've got the cleaning, but see, you knew that one. And then you've got your repair. That's going to be a completely separate team. You've got a maintenance team, which can be a separate team than the repair team. And depending on what's broken, it probably is. But you also have, and this is the first time we've mentioned this, is design, because somebody's got to do that, right? And then design, what I like to call construction, which is the designer, and or if you want, you can just let your designer do it. They're like the architect. They put out the blueprint. The construction team, they're the ones who are actually unpacking the boxes. They're the ones who are washing the dishes and putting the cups where they're supposed to be when you're first getting started. So you've got a lot of moving pieces, and they're mostly on the front end, and it can be very, very, very heavy over here. So you've got construction, cleaning, repair, design, maintenance. We're also going to add a technology, and then probably the one that tends to create the best situation. This is the one I want to get you to do as soon as humanly possible, right? Because this is the one where when I talk about how you get your work time down to 1 hour a day, this is the one that's the linchpin right here. I'm going to put it even in a completely different color, make it even bigger and bolder. The one that does that is, is customer experience. Right there. I'll spell it out just in case someone watches this later and was like, what's that? Customer experience. Inside your customer experience team, you're eventually, once you get to 20, especially once you get to 24/7 operations, you're going to have at least one manager. We currently run 2. So you're going to have manager, and then you're going to have a number of customer service or customer experience agents right here. These individuals, you're gonna, in order to comfortably get to 24/7 coverage, you're going to end up with 5, probably 6 people, because you have 6 people at this level. Now, that doesn't mean one of the managers can't be also an agent, but you're going to end up with 5 to 6 people down there. So here's what this all looks like and builds out to mean. What happens is that anytime a guest over here has a need, anytime the guest has a need, one of the first places that they're going to contact is customer experience. That's what's going to happen. Then customer experience is pretty much going to function like dispatch. They're going to determine, where do I need to send this? Does it need to go to the tech team, maintenance team, repair team, design team, cleaning team, construction team? Is this an issue that we're having with the platform in some way, shape, or form? Should it go to the marketing team and the channel management area? Is there an error in our content marketing? Do I need to send it there? Or is this a sales error or a request for discount, things of that nature? And then what happens is that inside of this, they then respond back to the customer experience team. So this becomes a two-way street of communication all the way around, so that at every point of the customer's journey through staying with you, you personally are never involved in the communication. All of those reports of what happens float up here, and then you end up meeting with your team once per week, usually the executive top part, right? Once per week, in order to find out if, what happened during the week, if anything, that you need to be aware of. During emergency situations, again, same thing. It tends to, once you have it built, it all gets handled inside without you having to be involved. There have been multiple times where there's an emergency, a flood. Recently, we had a squatter. And these are all things I found out about after they were resolved, so that it's clear. I was never involved in the actual resolving of it anymore, but it was things that I found out about after it was resolved. This particular outline is something you're going to build slowly, and you're going to build it over time, right? A lot of these individuals are going to be independent contractors that you work with, okay? So that means you might have 2 or 3 design teams, or that you work with. You might, and part of that design team being the photographer, all that stuff. But you might have 2 or 3 of those. You will have multiple cleaning people, easily. Because inside the cleaning team, it makes sense to have at least 3, even if you only have 1 unit. Okay, it makes sense to have at least 3, because you don't know when someone isn't going to be available. There's a number of things through this particular system and how it all flows back and forth that creates an element of freedom, to where the only thing, because there's only one thing here that I have not written yet that you are still in control of at this stage. And the way that I have it written right here, there's only one thing, and that is pricing. And I'll say it differently by calling it revenue management. Revenue management. So I'm starting to use a lot. I know, this is only your second day. Well, it is the 6th session, though. So we've been talking a lot, and I've been translating the words but now I'm beginning to use a lot of the words that we use inside the industry. And then that's revenue management is the process of determining what your things like a minimum stay. How far in advance is the calendar open? What is the 4th Tuesday, 90 days from today? What is that actually worth? And what is the maximum value for that day? These are functions that I still do. So that 1 hour per day that I talk about, the majority of the time, this is that's pretty much what it is. It's me doing that. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm pretty much not involved in what's going on. So if you ask me right now today, how many more people do we have arriving? I don't actually know the number. If you ask me how many are leaving, I don't know the number. But I do know this. If people are arriving and or leaving, the unit's going to get cleaned. The stock is going to be, everything's going to be restocked. They're going to be able to get their access codes, all of this stuff. And if they get lost, and they always get lost, no matter how good you try to do the directions, they will know who to contact and what to do, because they can call us, they can text us, they can email us, and they can message us. There's no version of communication that they cannot do with us and be able to get to a customer service or customer experience representative right now, 24/7, and get a response within 7 minutes. And then what ends up happening is you just continue to scale this. By the way, the structure that I'm showing you right here, this is the 7-figure structure, meaning when you are ready, you'll know you're ready because you will have a lot of these things in place. And once these things are in place, it'll be like, oh, I'm really close to that 7. This is that 7-figure structure. In order to get to that 7 figures, you can get to multiple 6 without the customer experience department and without some of these things. You can get to, $500,000, 750 or so, without a lot of the things. You will not get there without the customer experience department. You must have them for sure. But you also won't get there if you didn't do the foundational things like a bookkeeper or an executive assistant, right? And part of this means that you must be of the mindset that you have a minimum wage. Let me put it this way. One of the things when I was first learning these concepts that I had to do personally is because I was doing too many things myself. And what happened is they made me come up with a number, and I came up with $500. And they were like, okay, cool. So here's the thing. If the activity you are doing is not capable of generating $500 per hour of value to the company, then you don't do it. What that meant was, what they were communicating is the things that I should be doing, that's what it should be value-wise to the company. Meaning that if there was anything else going on in the company that still needed to be done and it wasn't generating that kind of value, then someone else could do it. And it became a quest, if you will, to make sure that everything I do every day is at a certain dollar value. Now, I'm one of those crazy individuals who I measure, income per second, because I want to make sure that it's always trending in the correct direction, that we're always making the changes that allows us to keep increasing what it is that we are capable of doing, the output that we're doing, and that we're capable of producing. But this is the 7-figure structure right here. This is what you're looking at. This structure is the same, is the current structure of how the business works for me and every other person that I've helped using, or that we've helped using this system get to the 7-figure mark. Now, you're not going to do that in the first 6 months. Well, I think we're going to have someone who's going to get to the 7-figure mark, break the record. So they haven't done it yet, but it might be it might actually fall to less than a year. So we'll see. I'm waiting to see where they are at the end of June and whatnot. We'll know soon. But at the end of the day, it might take you 12 or 14 months or so, maybe 18, to get all of these pieces in place. And that's okay. Or you may have a vision that's a little bit smaller. That too is also okay. Anyway, I'm hoping, sessions like this are helpful. This is also a small little taste of what things are like inside the roadmap, because we just break stuff down so that you're able to implement. The difference is during a session inside the roadmap, you'd be able to ask questions about each of these pieces in real time. So I'm hoping that if you have questions that you've put them in the chat so that you can. But for those of you who maybe you weren't here yesterday, or you missed it, what I want to do is I want to recap what is inside the roadmap and make sure that you guys have an opportunity to get it or schedule a call with Rob and or Jeremy. And then most importantly, that we also begin to get you guys prepared for the next session as well. When it comes down to it, the roadmap, as I've said before, is a 12-month program. You have a dedicated accountability coach. You also have the ability to, you know what, I'm going to remove myself for a moment here. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. So you have the inside track, if you will, to a number of trainings, because we have 27 trainings available inside the materials, because what it comes down to is that individuals like yourself, we want to put you in a position to be able to not only go through all of the 3 phases, but when we say go through them, we mean successfully achieve and produce an income that helps you to actually make it all work together. So what does that look like? I want to show you some of the trainings as well right now. At least I think I do. That's what I'm. Okay, if it doesn't work on the iPad, Jay, then go to the computer. Yep. What is this? There we go. There we are. So the inside the roadmap, you're going to get access to 37 different courses. We cover all of the parts when it comes to your short-term rental business, and which means we get you started at what we like to call phase 1. So you can start at phase 1, and that's fine. Because phase 1 is just where you are beginning. You're getting your first unit, and then you want to learn to scale the units, because as you learn to scale the units, and that's what's over here, as you learn to scale the units, you are going to need a lot more of the systems and the training to be able to make sure that you don't overwhelm yourself with way too much time requiring too much time out of your day. And then we begin to transition you into phase 3, where you learn how to purchase and control more real estate on a long term. We tend to focus a lot on apartment buildings because that's my slant. Also commercial and cell phone towers. And then through the process, we are constantly adding more skill sets so that you have the ability to put yourself in a situation where you can own the kind and the amount of real estate that you would like to I'll say reasonable amount of time. So the investment in the program is $15.97 per month. You can go to CashFlowDiary.com/roadmap to get that part started. And then you can just book a call with Jeremy or Robert at CashFlowDiary.com/2020. There it is again. CashFlowDiary.com/2020. So you'll be able to do that as well. In the next couple of sections, we've got a number of things to go through. We're definitely going to be talking about the technology today. We're going to also talk about something that is important, because your mission, your vision, what it is that you are looking to achieve, ultimately plays into how well you do in this business, because you can be distracted. It'll be easy to be distracted, in fact, because there's so many opportunities inside the business of the short-term rental world, and we want to make sure that you stay on track. The individuals that we have helped successfully make transitions into purchasing assets, it's keeping them tied to their mission and their vision, and making sure that all of those things come together. So make sure if you haven't already, take your screenshot or what have you. Hopefully you wrote it down. If not, just go back to the beginning. You'll be able to watch it and pause it and take your notes. And then remember, we have a number of bonuses as well, meaning we're going to be paying for your photography, your ability to work with some of the messaging software and tools for those of you who are getting started. And we're also going to optimize your listing. I'm personally going to help you get a photographer in your geographic area because we're going to interview them. So basically what's going to happen, you're going to set the appointment, I'm going to interview them, and you're going to hear me do that, ask them all the right questions to make sure that your listings look right. So when you're ready to get started, go to cashflowdiary.com/roadmap, or as I said earlier, you can book a call with Jeremy and or Robert, cashflowdiary.com/2020. Now, let me see, make sure you have this. So we have a number, like I said, we have a number of sessions, a number more sessions coming up in just 48 minutes. That looks backwards because I just did the team. So oh man, hold on one second. It looks like I've got the wrong one here. Let me go back to the cover in the group. So that way we're all on the same page and we know exactly, there we go. Well, we'll know exactly what's happening and when, what the next session is. I just want to make sure. And here we are. No, it says the same thing. Oh, no, it doesn't. Yeah, we're talking about your vision, and I'm not sure why it was reversed on that other slide, but that's okay. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the vision, and I'm going to share with you why I know that to be very, very important, and specifically what are some of the steps and questions that you should be asking yourself, because there's too many options. That's part of the challenge with this business, is that there's too many options, too many ways to skin this cat. We're going to narrow it down, keep you focused, and help you to keep moving forward. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's fun to talk to you. I enjoy it. And again, thanks for your patience through the technical challenges. We're going to go get the rest of it straight, and I'll see you in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon.